Lesley, thank you so much for being on the Entrepreneurial Success Podcast. I'm really excited to have you here. Like I said, you're the first female entrepreneur I've got here on the line with us, talking all about creating consistent content. And we're going to talk a lot more about that in a little bit. But why don't you just introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, hi. So hello, everybody, and thank you so much for having me on the show, Henriette. Really excited to be here. So my name's Lesley Notton. I am a marketing and mindset coach, and I specifically help female coaches and therapists to create an online presence that really helps their business. So it helps them to attract their ideal clients, captivate those clients, so they keep their audience interested, and of course convert them into being paying clients, which of course, as a business owner, is what you're on social media for. So I started the Marketing and Mindset Coach about 2 years ago. Before that, I was a photographer for 10 years. And before that, I worked in the 9-to-5 corporate world, although it's never 9 to 5, is it? It's more like 8:30 to 6:30 corporate world. So I'm super excited to be on the show, and I could talk for hours about content, but I will try and cram in as much information for all your listeners as possible.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I'm really excited to talk about all of it. I think the one thing that always intrigues me when I have these kind of podcast interviews, when I talk to so many different female entrepreneurs from all over the world, from different backgrounds, expertise levels, everybody always has their own little story about what kind of motivated them to start the business. What kind of was that little push really for you to get into that point where going, this is it, I'm going to do this. This is how I'm going to start my business. I'm going to run with it and see where it takes me. So what was that kind of moment, that pivoting moment for you where you decided to start your own business?
Yeah, well, mine's kind of an interesting one because, kind of an interesting one. I was, as I said, I was a photographer for over 10 years, thought I'd be doing that for the rest of my life. And I actually had some completely random health issues. I actually nearly died twice in the last 18 months. So I had some health issues come up, and I was like, I can't do what I'm doing now in my photography business any longer. And I just thought, right, what am I going to do? And somebody said to me, well, why don't you do coaching? It's what you've always wanted to do. And in my head, I'd had like, well, that was my like retirement plan. I was going to wait until I was like, I don't know, 50 or 60 and do that. And then I was like, well, why wait? There's no reason to wait. And I thought maybe this is why this has happened. This is why, for someone who'd been doing photography for 10 years to suddenly have to change complete direction, complete industries, it was quite a big shock. Pretty scary, quite a big shock. And I just thought, well, I'm just gonna go for it now. Why wait for it?
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so sorry to hear about, obviously, the grievance that you had.
That's okay.
All better now.
I'm good now.
Because I kind of met you through Facebook, and I saw the kind of content that you're putting out there. And that's what kind of attracted me to you, because you were so energetic, you're so positive, and you've got such a great energy and a vibe around you, which is what I was so excited when you decided, or when you actually agreed to come on the podcast and share everything with us. And I think that's the one thing that I love, is when you're so visible and when you just have a passion for what you're doing and you're constantly there, basically it does show that it attracts people towards you, which is basically how we met. Yeah. Now, I think the other thing I want to ask you as well is, when you decided to go from photography into this kind of new environment of being a coach, how did that start off for you? I mean, what was the kind of first things that you started doing, or think this is what you have to do in order to get your coaching business off the ground?
Yeah, so I'm one of these people where if I have an idea or I want something, I just do it. Like I figure out the rest later and I just go for it.
Awesome.
Anybody who knows me knows my two favorite quotes are, that I literally live by, are just do it and what's the worst that could happen.
That's perfect.
So I always think of, Nike and Dr. Pepper. So remember the old advert with Dr. Pepper, what's the worst that could happen? I just think of those two things and I'm like, okay, just go for it. You just figure out, you know, the ins and outs of everything as you're going along. You know, get the help, get the training, get the coaching you need as soon as possible, because it makes things so much easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just one of these people. I'm like, right, okay. Once I made the decision, it was create the website the next day, start writing down what I'm doing, yeah, and just get it out there and just get started. Definitely, like, just go for it straight away.
Now, because we're both coaches, the question that I always ask, because I've always get asked this question as well, is when you started your business, did you also get a mentor or a coach yourself who could kind of like help you along the way so you can kind of take that leap and make strides forward in your business? Or did you kind of like just do online courses, teach things or learn things yourself as you went along? What was the kind of, how can I say, the pivoting point as well when you decided, okay, I need help? What kind of help am I going to get?
Yeah, so it was kind of a mixture for me. I had business mentors in the photography world. So I could kind of take some of that experience and some of that skills and knowledge and apply it to this business. But then also it was a case of, okay, let's just go for it. And as I say, I don't think about things too long. I just do them. So it's very much like just learn things on the go. But then I did get, you know, I did get some online training. I did get some coaches. I did get some mentors, you know, within the first year, because I do think it is important. Because, I mean, you can do it without that, but it's much quicker. It's a fast track route if you get that help. So yeah, I'm a big advocate of it.
I completely agree. From my kind of experience, I started on my own thinking I can do this, because I'm like you, I'm an action taker the whole time. I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And you get to a point where nothing really seems to be happening. You're going, oh, okay, I need help. Got a coach, got a mentor, and then things just sped forward. And you thought, why didn't I do this later, you know, earlier on? Why did I wait until this point?
Yeah.
Let's move over to what you want to teach us about, which is all about consistent content creation, so you can obviously attract your ideal clients. Talk to us a little bit about content, because I know this is a little bit of an obstacle for most people when it comes to blogging, podcasting, any kind of content that we're creating or that we have to create on a consistent basis. It's one of those things that people feel, do I have to do it? And I'm so bored and I'm lazy and I don't really want to do, and I'm always on the back foot. I don't have my content ready. So there's all those kind of excuses that we make up for ourselves. I was one of them, hands up. But talk to us a little bit about how to easily and consistently create content from your point of view and your level of expertise.
So for me, the first thing I would say is content is massively important. Content isn't going anywhere. Content is one of these things that is just going to snowball. It's just going to get more and more and more. And, you know, with everything being online, everything being digital, you know, with all the social media platforms, with Facebook and Instagram, you're just filled with content every single day. And you can either do two things with regards to content. You can be the content consumer who just like eats up all the content and you know, watches everything, learns everything, or you can be the person who is teaching people with the content and putting that content out for other people. And if you choose the second option, then that will help your business. I'm not saying don't learn stuff. I always believe 100% learn all the time, but it is definitely a case of, you know, making sure that you've got that balance out there and understanding that content is never going anywhere. It is here to stay. You know, anything in the world could change, but we're not losing the internet. We're not losing social media altogether now. You know, none of those things is going to happen. So for me, the three things that I always tell people for creating consistent content and making sure it's easy, it's fast, and it's fun to do, so that you're not thinking, oh my God, I've got to, you know, write 4 more blog posts or create another month's worth of social media content, is I always say to people, you need to plan, you need to batch, and you need to schedule. And if you just keep those 3 things in your head, it'll really, really help you to kind of move forward all the time with your content creation.
Yeah. And I love that you've broken it into these 3 kind of elements, because rather than overthinking things and complicating it for yourself, I think if you just have these kind of 3 elements that you're working towards every time, it's going to make such a huge difference for yourself. Now, talk to us about these 3 elements. Can we dive a little bit deeper into them? And can you give us some examples of each of them?
Yeah, sure, definitely. So the first thing to do is to plan it. So the way I love to plan my content, the way I teach my clients how to plan, is to start off with a blank calendar and your year and go, right, what offers do I want to sell and when do I want to put them out on the market? When am I going to open up the carts for these offers? Put those, dates in the diary first. Then you need to think about, kind of other occasions like Mother's Day, Christmas, Easter, all those things that, you can create content around because it's really relevant at that time. But then the first thing to do is to plan your content around your promotions. So around what you're offering, because as we all know, you've got to build up excitement, build up hype, show that there is a need for your product. And one of the best ways to do that is to be talking about it all the time, mentioning it. And you're not necessarily mentioning your product. What you're doing is mentioning the problems and the issues that your product will solve.
Yes.
And giving kind of tips around that. So definitely look at your calendar, see when you're going to promote your offers and create content around those offers. And you'll find that actually, really quickly, let's say you're promoting something in March, well, February onwards, you're going to be talking all about that product. So that's a whole month's worth of content that you've kind of half planned out already. And that's just a really quick kind of, bird's eye view of how to plan out the content.
Yeah. I love that you said that, because mostly when people think about the blogs or the podcast episodes that's going to go out, it's almost as though they don't think that far ahead. And I love the fact that you're coming up with a concept. Your goal obviously is to sell your products or your services at the end of the day. So decide, when are you going to sell them? When are the cards opening? And then work backwards from those, and then obviously plan your content around when you are opening the card. And it is such a great way, actually, because once you kind of have that on a calendar, and I think it's more of a visual thing as well. Maybe I'm wrong for saying this, but I love being visual. So once you have that on the calendar and you look at it and you start going, oh, well, this isn't so bad. And then you can start planning, and actually it becomes a little bit of fun as well, because your creative juices start flowing and you can think more about what you can plan out. Talk to us a little bit about the second element there. So once you've got your planning done, what is the next step?
So the next step is to batch your content. Now, this actually is perfect from what you just said, is that when you start creating content, you need it to be fun when you're doing it, okay? Yeah. And one of the best ways to make it more fun is to let the creative juices flow. Yeah. And because sometimes, you can sit there and you can like have a screen in front of you and stare at the cursor and go, I have no idea what I'm writing. But first of all, you know what you're writing about, what topic you're writing about, because it's about your promo, it's about your offer. And then when you start writing things, all these other ideas start coming into your head. And literally, just start typing up notes, start typing up questions that people have asked you, but just start batching your content so that you're creating as much as possible in one go. Like take an afternoon or take a day or take a weekend and just go, right, I'm going to create 3 videos today, or I'm going to create 10 videos today. Quick tip, if you want to create lots of videos in one day, change your top, change your hair, change your earrings. It looks like you're a whole new person, a whole new day. And that's how you can create, lots of videos on one day. And it doesn't look like, you're wearing the same thing in every video for the next, 10 weeks or something. So yeah, I always find that by batching things, and I love doing this for blogging as well. I tend to write my blog posts at the end of the month, and I'll write 4 blog posts for the next month and have them pre-written, in my blog and ready to be, all I need to do is schedule them out and that's it. Yeah. Because the more you write or the more you think about something, especially when it's a topic that you love and you're passionate about, the more thoughts come into your head about it. And if other things are coming into your head when you're in the middle of writing something, just scribble it down on a bit of paper somewhere and, just keep it going.
Yes, yeah. I've seen that time and time again when people are now so in the zone and they're writing a blog or they're writing some content, and all of a sudden they have this other idea and they go, oh, let me just quickly go check it out. Let me quickly go on Google, do a bit of research about it, and they're completely distracted. Yes. And I would say, no, keep the focus. give yourself a time slot, say an hour every morning or whatever you decide your time schedule or your time management should be, but don't get distracted. It is one of the biggest things that could stand in your way from making sure that you have a proper batching time in order to get your content together.
Yeah.
So I love that you mentioned that as well. From your example, if I can just link a little bit of time management to batching, what does your kind of schedule look like? What do you tend to do then in order to make sure that you keep up with your batching?
So I usually set aside Sundays. I think for me, a Sunday, I'm, especially in winter, there's nothing to do. It's too blooming cold. You don't want to go out anywhere. And you can just sit there and just start writing some things down. Sometimes I'll write, emails. Sometimes, like once a month, I'll do the blog posts, and just I just like to set aside that time. Now, it doesn't, I don't always do it on a Sunday. I usually find that my blogging I tend to do on a Sunday. But for me, I'm a very creative person anyway. So if I'm not like on client calls or I don't have anything else to do, I'm like, right, what can I write? And sometimes I really feel like I want to write.
Yes.
And other people sometimes like hate writing. If you absolutely hate writing, you can still blog. What you just do is you record it into a voice recorder and have it transcribed, or use Google Docs, press the voice recorder on that, and then, have it type it up for you. So there are lots of different ways you can do it. But yeah, definitely setting aside some time to actually focus on that and that only is really, really key.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you there, because what I tend to do, or what I tell my students as well, is it's not something that you have to do every day, because if it's something you have to do every day, it can become a chore. But if you choose one day a week where you set aside a couple of hours in your calendar and it's there. So once you get to, say for instance, on a Thursday, if you come to Thursday, your calendar pops up and say for the next 2 hours, you're only going to do content writing or batching or whatever. And you have to commit to it as well, because that's the only way you're going to become consistent. Talk to us about the third element then, about in order to make sure that after you've done the planning, you've done the batching, what is the third thing that you need to do then?
This is the easy bit. This is the super easy, super fun bit. It takes the least amount of time out of all three of them, and that's scheduling it. Because as you said, if you have to do something every day, it becomes a chore, it becomes a bit of a bore. If you forget it, you're like, oh, and then the next day, maybe you don't do it. And then you think, oh, well, I haven't done anything for 3 days. I can't now go and put an offer out. So it's the best thing about scheduling is that you literally, take half an hour or something a week and copy and paste all the stuff in that you've already created, put it into something like CoSchedule or Post Planner or, Tailwind or whatever it is that you're using, Hootsuite, Buffer, any of those things, and just put it all in there, schedule it all out, and then you don't have to do another thing. Like the only thing that you then do with social media is go back and answer comments like later on during the day, each day. But that's it. Like, you don't even have to worry. As I said, I was in hospital and I was getting people commenting on my post. Nobody knew I was in hospital. Nobody knew what had happened. And I was getting sales coming in and people commenting on my post while I'm sitting there in the hospital bed. And I was like, cool. And it's such a nice feeling. Like, you can go and take the afternoon off. You can go take your kids to the park. You can go on holiday because you've scheduled everything in advance. To the online world, it looks like you're still there. And if you're just popping back every now and then just to reply to a couple of comments, then, you've still got that engagement and connection with your audience that's so important.
Absolutely. I love the fact that you said as well that you meant sadly while you were in hospital, I don't want to point that out too much, but sadly while you were in hospital, obviously you had those sales happening, and it's not as if you had to worry about it because you were already planned ahead. It is not like you were sitting in the hospital thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to think about my health, but now at the same time my business is not running, I'm not making money, because you were already ahead. You had that all, you had the planning done, the batching, and you had everything scheduled way in advance. So you knew that you can concentrate on getting well, and your business was still running on the sideline. And I think that is so important for anybody who's listening about this, knowing that you've got a blog, you've got a podcast, a vlog, YouTube videos, whatever it is that you want to create for your business in order to make sure that you get more visibility. But it's just becoming a nag and you're thinking, oh my gosh, every day I'm thinking I've got to do this, but you just don't do it. Schedule it. Honestly, schedule it. Put it in your calendar, because once it's in your calendar, it's almost like a micro commitment you're making to yourself. And when the day comes and it pops up, you have got to do it. You've got to start getting into the habit. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is something that when you started planning, batching, scheduling, it had to be something that you get used to, because it needed to create a habit. You needed to create a habit for yourself, really.
Yeah.
In order to make sure that it's a continuous flow. And now it is just something that's happening for you. You don't even have to overthink it, because it's a habit.
Yeah, exactly. It's, it's like some people love to go for a run at 5 a.m. every morning. So, can't say that's me, but if you're the kind of person who likes to do that, you started off by dragging yourself out of bed at 5 a.m. every morning, getting ready and going. You felt great while you were doing it. Came back and be like, okay, done. Then the next day you had to go through the same thing. But after a while, it does become a habit. And when things become a habit, they almost become, subconscious. It's like walking. If you were to walk from A to B and you did that every single day, you know how to get there without having to actually think about how to get there. Your content does become that, because you think, right, okay, today I'm just going to create my content, or I'm going to plan it out, I'm going to batch some stuff, I'm going to schedule it all in. So it just becomes nice and simple and easy for you.
Yeah.
And to make it fun, to make it easy and fun and fast, is doing the plan, batch, schedule. That will just simplify everything for you.
Yeah. And the benefit, and I mean, this is the big thing, the benefit about being consistent with your content is the visibility. And I'm a strategic business coach, and I always talk about visibility, having a great strategy in order to get visibility. And I think this is something that you kind of played with, you modified it, and you're in that good point now where you've got such great visibility for yourself and for your business. And that's the benefit of being consistent with your content the whole time. What kind of, with this benefit of being visible, what kind of things have you started seeing happening for you and your business?
Oh gosh, there's so many things. There's so many. It's okay. So within like a couple of months of me starting my coaching business, I was invited to participate in an online summit by somebody who's really massive in their industry. I was like, oh my God, seriously? And I was like, yes, okay. And then a few months down the line, she said to me, oh, have you only been doing this for 4 or 5 months now? I was like, yeah. She was like, oh, I thought you've been doing it for years. Because it's the content you put out and the amount that you're seeing. It gives that like, know, and trust to people. It makes you look, or not makes you look, but it shows you as the expert that you actually are. And being visible is massive. I mean, I've had online summits. I've been asked to create, masterclasses for other courses. I've been asked to go on, podcasts like yours. Lots of other events. What else? To be included in books. I haven't said yes to that one yet, but that's on my to-do list. But also things, about, growing your audience and getting more people on your email list, getting more people in your Facebook groups, getting more people following you on Instagram, getting, clients actually messaging you saying, I saw you talking about this the other day in a post. How do I access it? Or how can I work with you? Yeah. And at the end of the day, that's what you want. That's what you're on social media for as a business owner. You're not there to be a content consumer. You're there to be a content creator, so that you are seen. Because if you're not seen every single day, people are going to either forget about you or see somebody else and go to them. So it has to be consistent every day.
Yeah. I love that you said it, that go out on social media to be a content creator and not a content consumer. And that's something we can talk about separately for hours on end. But just to touch up on that, I mean, if you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do, you're on social media and you'll go through your Instagram feed, oh my gosh, you are putting so much of your energy out there, consuming content. rather than using that energy first thing in the morning and creating your own content.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm very passionate about as well, because I feel if you go out and you use your energy, because let's face it, first thing in the morning, you're at your best, really, after a good night's rest, and you use that energy to go and create your content, you're going to feel so much better, rather than spending 1 or 2 hours in the morning going through all the social platforms and consuming energy. You're just going to feel drained.
Yeah. It can, and you know what it's like going on Facebook to check something, that notification, I'm just going to check what that is.
Mm-hmm.
You're still there half an hour later. Like
Yep.
the amount of cat memes you've looked at and liked, or the amount of like cute puppy videos that you just go down the rabbit hole and you just stuck there for an hour. I've done that way too many times.
Yeah.
But it is addictive, and it is, it does take up an awful lot of your energy. So if you can, as you say, use that energy and put it into creating your own content, think you got to flip everything around. Everybody else is going to be getting drawn into your content instead of you getting drawn into other people's content.
Exactly. So a little tip for those of you listening on watching this video right now. It is actually something that I've started myself when I started my business. In the morning, there's no way I will go through my social media feed. I will literally just use my energy, number one, to go and meditate, to start my day off right, but then use my energy to go and create either content or use my energy in order to obviously make sure my business is running smoothly. And only then, once I take a break, obviously will I quickly catch up and I'll reply on social media to any of the notices. But I think it is really important for you as a business owner to kind of think about as well where you use your energy. And the best way for you to get visibility for yourself and your business is to use your energy to create content on a consistent basis, just like Lesley said. Lesley, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Before we conclude with everything, you've got an amazing ebook all about how to get visible, which is, what we all want. Why don't you talk to us about your ebook?
Cool, thank you. So it's called the Social Media Visibility Blueprint. It is a really simple but really in-depth ebook to give business owners an idea and a plan and help them to be more visible online, because a lot of business owners, a lot of coaches, a lot of therapists, they're always telling me, I want to be visible, but I want to create content, or I want to be consistent, but. So the first section of the book really helps you to kind of figure out what any of your blocks are and your limiting beliefs. Is it that you don't feel like you're good enough? Is it that you hate seeing yourself on camera? Are you worried what other people are going to think of you? So we do look into that in quite a bit of depth in the ebook, because I think, for me, there are 3 parts of business, which is mindset, strategy, and action. And you can't have a successful business without all 3. So we do look into that mindset side of things. Then in the ebook, we also go into increasing your credibility online with your online community, attracting your ideal clients, knowing what to actually put out there, knowing what content will attract them, will captivate them. And then I've also included a little plan. So in as little as 10 minutes a day, you can have a content strategy plan that is going to help you become more visible online.
Amazing. Oh, well, thank you so much for making that available to the audience. And what we'll do is you are more than welcome to go and download this ebook absolutely for free. She's giving it away for free. The link will be below in my show notes. So just go pop over there, download it, get the ebook, and I'm sure Lesley would be more than happy to help you out with any other additional questions you have, and how to, consistently get your content out there, and obviously how to get more visible for your audience as well. Lesley, is there anything else that you would like to add for the audience? One last little tip?
One last little tip is to go for it. It doesn't matter what the it is, but just take one step towards it every single day, and just 2 tips. And the other thing is to make sure that every piece of content you're putting out there has got a purpose behind it. That's really, really important.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much for your time and being on the podcast. I'm thrilled that we've got such an amount of content squeezed into this podcast. But yeah, for those of you listening, by all means, please get in touch with Lesley. I'm sure she would love to help you out. download her ebook. I know I'm definitely going to use her ebook as well in order to see how I can work on my visibility strategy and obviously creating more great content for you guys. All of the best, and we'll be in touch very soon. Thank you, Lesley. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.